All right, so question number one on the upper intermediate JavaScript challenge. So we got the classic array utils component where we are expected to perform some operations with arrays, adding elements, removing elements, this sort of operations. Yeah. So let's go one by one. Append. Append means I got an array of elements and I want to add something at the end. At the end. So we got two arguments, which is, for instance, list and then, for instance, item, yeah, because I want to add an item to the list. So can anyone tell me how can I add an element at the end of an existing array? Dot concat. That's interesting. So can I do list dot concat? Okay, let's leave it here. I'll come back to the append because that's probably the most controversial one. Let's talk about prepend. So prepend means I want to then this is the same idea, but in this occasion I want to add the item at the beginning of the array instead of at the end. Yeah? So how can you prepend elements to an array in JavaScript, guys? Yeah, list dot unsafe. Yeah, and then obviously the item. Yeah, unsafe is it's a method. So let's try to do something like that. What about delete first? Delete first, as it says, is just about getting rid of the first element. Donald and Kim will keep yes, Kim. So if I got a list, there is the single argument. I don't want to add anything. So let's see what happens if I try to add list dot what? How do you add the first element of an array? How do you remove, sorry, the first element of an array? Shift, that's correct. Let's pay attention to the semantics. Unshift, yeah, unshift adds the element at the beginning. Shift removes the first element. Yeah? So that's, oh, sorry, no, that's wrong. It doesn't receive any argument. And finally, to delete the last element of an array, can anyone tell me how to get rid of the last one? List of what? Pop. That's correct. That's correct. So these are the classic methods to add and remove elements from array. I didn't want to talk about concat yet, because historically speaking, what we got was something called push. Yeah. So this is the classic API. You see, push and shift and pop. So, is this gonna work? What do you think? No, why not? Okay. That's correct. Look, that's correct, Elena. Look. Let me, for instance, focus on the prepend. Yeah, randomly. Look, prepend. You return 3. What the hell? What that means, guys? Why list.shift returns number 3? Can anyone give me a meaningful answer to this question? Yeah, of course. First two actually are managed by the same criteria, both push and shift. They return a number. What that number means? Number of elements. That's correct, Vicky. That's the number of elements. Yeah, that's it. Wait. Yeah, I agree on that. So to me, this API, this decision, this technical decision is weird. So both push and shift return the size of the array, the size of the resulting array, which is weird. Yeah. So for instance, with push, we got originally an array of 2 elements. Of course, if we add a new one, the new array will have 3 elements. But why do you want that? I don't know. This is one of the oddities of historical JavaScript. Yeah. So we cannot actually push and return at the same time because that's not going to work. If you pay attention at the bottom, shift and pop. So they work slightly differently. They don't return a number, but for instance, if you focus on delete first, which is the shift method, it returns Donald. So it's actually returning the element that has been removed. To me, that's more reasonable personally. Yeah. So I want to remove an element. So shift returns the element that has been removed. All right, I could accept that. And likewise, pop is pretty much the same thing. Yeah. So if you look at for instance, at the delete last, what is it? Here you go. So delete last Donald and Kim. It returns Kim because it's the element that has been deleted. Okay, so that's acceptable. However, that's not what we wanted. So as someone suggested, we have to solve the problem in 2 steps. So first of all, we run the operation and then we return the resulting array. Yeah. So thanks to that idea, that should help. I'm not going to tell you this is going to work end to end, but at least now we should have theoretically some green color on the left-hand side. You see, now that's almost perfect. Can anyone tell me, please, why there is still a failing assertion? What happened? Yeah. Yeah, so push can add anything, can add strings, objects, arrays, booleans, numbers, whatever. Yeah, and actually, look, you are trying to add an array, and push is adding the array. So that's me. That makes sense to me personally. However, according to this exercise, we don't really want to add empty arrays. Yeah? It's some sort of a special. The behavior is special. So if we find an empty array, it looks like we don't really want to add it. So can anyone tell me, using push, how can we solve the problem? Dot join. Wait. I want to do something easier. Look, I'll give you a hint. If something, then add the element to the array. So I'll give you a hint. Can you do that? We learned that yesterday in the Boolean workshop. Will that work? That's correct. It's truthy, Elena. That's correct. Even if item is an empty array, that's still truthy. So because of that, that's gonna fail as well. So you see, still failing. So can anyone tell me how to control that? Vicky, I think this week you told me the same thing 3 times, and I told you that was wrong. You cannot do that. That's illegal. No, you don't know yet, right? That's illegal. You cannot do that. Why you cannot do that? Because you are saying that an array is greater than 0. That's correct. That makes more sense to me. Do we need, actually, Vicky, do we need a greater than 0? Do we need that? Yeah, we can simplify it. Yeah, that's correct. So guys, that's a possible way of solving the problem. As you can see, in this occasion, we got confetti time. Do you have any questions? So a few minutes ago, I think Lawrence suggested a different way of solving the problem, which is using concat. So now, starting from 2015, there is a new method in JavaScript called concat. Concat works very similarly to push, but there are some important differences. So concat doesn't change the original array. So if we run this code, that's not going to work because list remains untouched. List remains with 2 items, as you can see here. Yeah, that's why it doesn't work. So if list.concat returns a new array. So if you want to use concat, you need to do that. Yeah, return list.concat. So that will return the new array straight away. Yeah? That's an alternative. I would like to run a workshop about explaining all the differences between push and concat, but as usual, that depends on time availability. So we'll see if that's possible or not. I cannot guarantee that, unfortunately. Yeah? So yes, FYI, you can add arrays using you can add elements to arrays either using push or concat. Actually, I was thinking that would be a good topic for next week board challenge. Yeah? So I'll write that down. Any questions? All right, let me have a look to the code that you wrote here. So you see Max and Lauren, right, using concat. I think everyone is using concat here. So everyone is actually following the same coding style. Yeah. That's good. All right, guys. So that was question number 1. What about question number 2? That was tricky. That's one of the trickiest questions in Java. Yeah. So the thing is one of the things that I don't know. That's weird. It's weird because we talk about dates. That's not something you touch often. And on top of that, the solution is there are different ways of solving the problem. I'm going to show you a very smart way of solving the problem, but that's nothing that you can naturally think about. Yeah. But however, it's good to have in mind to have a bunch of tricks. When you play poker, you get a bunch of good cards with you, and you use them when you need them, right? So I'm going to show you a good poker card here. So first of all, we got an argument which is the date. Yep. But before going any further, there is a classic mistake, guys, with junior developers, calling that variable date. Why? Because if I call it date, I could easily forget later on that I'm playing with date, with a string, yeah? So I could run some operation like date.get month, which is not gonna work because date is a string, yeah? So whenever you have a date, but it's not a date object, it's a string, I used to do something like that, data string. So I know that will require some manipulation. So what do you do next? I need to create a date structure. So in JavaScript, as you probably know already, to create a data structure, you can do something like that. Date equals new date, and then you pass the string. Yeah? So that will create a new date. This is some sort of object. And that object has some method like to get the month of the year. So date.getMonth in the first case will return a number. We can get the day, we can get the hour, we can get any detail about the date that we are providing. Yeah. So we got the date, and now let's try to understand what are we looking for. We're looking for how many days the given month has. So for instance, March of 2021 has 31 days. April of 2021 has 30 days. Yeah? The problem is harder than it seems because you may be thinking, all right, every single month of March has 31 days, every single month of April has 30 days. But what happened in February, guys? February may have 28 or 29 days. Do you agree with me? So it's not that simple. We got what we call the leap year. So leap years have 366 days, and that is represented by a longer month of February, 29 days instead of 28. So it's not as simple as running if month equal January return 31, if month equal March return, that's gonna look very messy. Eventually, you could find the answer. Actually, there is another question in the backlog to determine whether a year is a leap year or not. There are some mathematical rules. If the year can be divided by 4, and so there are some rules obviously to determine if a year is leap or not. This is not based on any sort of magic or obscure reasoning. Yeah. So even though you may be able to find the answer using a very complex data structure, let me show you a hint. So I'm gonna do something. First of all, I'm gonna get the month of the year. So let month equals date.getMonth. Likewise, I'm gonna get the year. Year equal date. Can anyone tell me which method in JavaScript gives me the year of a date? Correct, get full year. You see, the syntax is a bit strange. It's a bit strange. Yeah? I may expect get year instead of get full year. So, I mean, playing with dates is weird with any programming language. Playing with dates in JavaScript is even more complicated, yeah, because of the weird, strange syntax. And that's not even the worst part. There are other, worse parts when dealing with dates. But anyway, for now, that's okay. So now, look, I can actually get a new date, and I can pass the tokens. So the year, month, and we'll see what do we do with the day in a second. But eventually, to get how many days, does anyone know how can we get the current day of a date? That's get date. Be careful. It's not get day. That's not correct. Get day, I think, gives you the day of the week, which is from 0 to 6. So that's a bit weird, right? So it's get date. Yeah. But now, where the problem is, we still got few problems here. So look, I would like to show you my strategy. So if my date is the 19th of March of 2021, what I will try to do, look at the trick here, is I got the month, I got the year. So look at what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna increment month in 1, so I'm gonna point to April, and I'm gonna get how many days the 0 of April has. You see? So day 0 of April is the same as the last of March. So technically speaking, you can pass a negative number here. That will give me the 30th of March. If I pass -2, that will give me the 29th of March. You see? So I can play with dates in that way. So I'm gonna get day number 0 of April, and that will indirectly tell me the last of March. So I have to increment the month by 1. So I'm pointing to the next month, and then I'm saying give me day number 0 of the upcoming month. Yeah. So how many days, or what's the last day of day 0 of the next month, which is the same as saying give me the last day of the current month. Yeah. That's a bit weird. That's really weird. But to me, that's probably the most elegant way of solving the problem. Questions? Yeah. Wait. Give me a second, Lauren, because I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm going to talk about. I didn't say that was correct yet. Yeah. So I'm trying to present the style, yeah, or the approach. But now, actually, back to what you said. Yeah. So that code is not going to work. If I play it, you didn't return anything, and the reason is, guys, do you see the date format I'm using here? Year, month, and then day. Yeah. So if I got that date format, this is American, right? First the year, then the month, and then the date. That's the way JavaScript dates work: year, month, and day. Is that the format that our function is dealing with? No, that's the European format, yeah? Day, month, and year. So now the question is, how can I transform? And that has nothing to do with dates, that has to do with string manipulation. How can I transform from something like that? Guys, if you are typing, please mute yourself. Thank you very much. It feels a bit weird, yeah, if someone is talking that other people is typing. Anyway, so you see, if I got that date, how can I transform it to this format? So reverse like that. Split. All right. All right. So. All right. No, that's fine. Yeah, split, reverse, and then join. All right. So let's do that. Let's do that. So we got the date, and then we split it. What should we pass here in the argument? Anything else? All right, Elena. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. You see, we need to reverse the operation. Any arguments here? Yeah, hyphen or minus or dash, yeah, whatever. So the process is, we got the string like that, then we got an array with 19 as a strings, yeah, and then 0, 3, and then 20, 21. Then we reverse it, so we got it in the other way around, 20, 21, 0, 3, and then 19, and then we join it, right? So 20, 21, 0, 3, 19. All right, so I think that's correct, guys. I think that's correct, so that should work. Here you go. You see? Yep. Mm-hmm. Date dot where? After the second line, yeah. Return date dot get date. Yeah, that's wrong. What is it? All right, let's figure out. Because date dot get date will tell you the current day on the date we are passing. Well, exactly. Ex All right, cool, guys. I'm not even gonna ask you any questions because I'm pretty sure if I ask you to repeat that, you are not gonna be able to do it. At least not half of you. But what I'm gonna tell you here is, guys, you need to be comfortable playing with dates. I know you don't like them. They don't like you neither. But you need some basic understanding about dates, yeah. So on the platform you got one or two training modules about, I think you got one on beginner, one on intermediate, something like that. So please play with dates, and of course if you got any questions, please let me know. Let me have a look to the code you wrote to see if anyone solved it. Actually, yes. So you see, actually Max and Lauren, they did essentially the same thing, yeah. Cool. Yeah, so let's have a look to question number 3. That's a good one. Sort actors by age. That's simpler. That's actually much simpler. But that doesn't mean it's trivial. So we got a list of arguments. So we're going to call it, no, not list actually. Let me call it actors, yeah? I think plays a bit better from a semantics point of view. And then I'm going to type return. So first of all, we need to sort, yeah? So, I mean, naturally speaking, I'm gonna type the word sort. And now, that's the tricky part. Let me prepare it a bit. So when we sort, we compare two actors, yeah? Actor A and actor B. Remember that if that's to me the most difficult part to explain about coding, how that function works. So let me do something. Actor A dot born minus actor B dot born. Yeah, I'm comparing the numbers because that will tell me who is the youngest and who is the oldest. So if that returns a negative number, that means that number is greater or smaller than this number. Greater, correct. Yeah, if that operation returns a negative number, that means that element is greater than the first one. That's why it returns a negative number. Yeah. So if we do that, the array will be sorted ascendingly. That means the first element will be the smallest and the last element will be the largest. The way the mnemotechnia I use here is I always use A and B. If I put A minus B, it will sort the array ascendingly. You know, A ascendingly. That's the mnemotechnia I use because otherwise, for me, it's hard to remember sometimes. Yeah? On the other way around, if we put B minus A, it will sort the array descendingly. Yeah? Descendingly. So that will sort the array ascendingly. What that means? Will the first actor will be the youngest or the oldest? That's correct. That's correct. It's the oldest because if it's ascendingly, that means it's something like that. That's ascending order, right? So talking about years, which is our numbers. So that's ascending order as well. Yeah, that's ascending order. That's what this is doing. Is that what the algorithm wants us to do? The youngest one, correct. We want to do it on the other way around. So we want to sort the array descendingly. The highest number, in other words, the person who was born last should be on top of the list. Yeah. Anything else? Will that work? That's correct. That's correct. That's not going to work. If I run it, the order is correct, and that gives me some confidence. However, the exercise is only asking us to work with the name of the actor. So how can we transform the array of sorted actors into the array of just the name of these actors? That's correct, Vicky. That's correct, Vicky. We can use map. So anyone apart from Vicky can tell me what else do we need to type here? And then what? Actor.name. That's correct. That's correct. And then if we run it, it works. Can I destructure the actor? Hello? Come on, we've done it like 45 times, Max. You should know that. Like that? What else? That's correct. Yeah? Like that. So if we run it, questions? You see, guys, it's not that complicated. I mean, obviously, the main complexity is on line number 3, right? Trying to understand how sort works. But if you have a look to the eventual result, guys, that's intermediate. Yeah, that's that's for people with some experience, and you can see it's not that difficult. All right, so what you did here, so obviously now the code looks a bit weird because I'm zooming in. Let me zoom it out a bit to see if that helps. There you go. And probably that's too small, but I can short it out. So you see Max and Lauren doing the same thing. Question for Team Alpha. What's going on here? You got some elegance warnings here. Can anyone see where? I mean, that's not a bad thing as such. You can push things to new lines. However, what is missing here? That's correct, Vicky. That's correct. That's correct. Look, so that's yeah. So that's correct. That's what you wrote, right? So if you want to do that, then you open parentheses, you close parentheses, and then you move things to a new line. That's the way to do it. Anything else? I got a question for Aaron. Aaron, are you out of coincidence using Safari? Firefox. I see. You see, guys, that Aaron's code looks different. You see? Look at the distance between lines with Aaron's code. Yeah, that's a bit exotic. Yeah. Nice, nice. Now Aaron is playing in COVID mode. Yeah, there is some social distancing in the code lines. Awesome, guys. So let's have a look to question number 4. I love question number 4. So that was not so, guys. If you know the story of this lady, so this girl, she's a very young Russian girl. I think she's like 22, 23, something like that. And the thing is, she got the job. One of the reasons was because of playing with Codery. So she participated on the second international challenge with Russia. And the company she was working for, she was doing tech support, but nothing about coding. They saw that she was contributing a lot on the platform, and eventually they offered her a tech role. Yeah, so that's great. That's great because someone, it's an example of someone breaking into tech because of her contribution to the community of coders. Yeah? All right, so that's very interesting because the answer here is very simple. Very, 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 very simple. However, that proves your ability to deal with destructuring, which is what the exercise was originally about. Ignoring destructuring. Let me try to do something like that. So return. Can I do? You tell me, guys. You'll tell me if that's right or wrong. So family dot name is sibling to family dot sibling. Right or wrong? I got it here, right? That's you got it on the right hand side. Right, guys, that's wrong, but I'm not gonna tell you why. Yeah, I'll give you a hint. What type of data? The get sibling function receives? That's correct, Vicky. It's an array of objects. So can I do family.name? Family.name of what? Of the first element of the array? Of the second element of the array? Correct, Alena. That's correct. Yeah, family square bracket 0. It's a bit weird, but technically speaking, that's what it does, right? So family is an array. We only have one element on this array, so fair enough. So get the first element and then access the name and access the sibling. Yeah. So if we run it, that works. You see, it's one line. Yeah? But now, let's think about the structuring. I don't want to use square bracket 0 at all. At all. So, tell me, what should I do on line number 1? How can I destructure the array? Wrong. I just want to focus on the array. I don't want to type a square bracket 0 because that feels weird. How can I destructure this object on the array? That's correct, Elena. That's correct. You see? That's array destructuring. So now family refers to the first element of that array. Can I rename family? To me, family feels a bit weird. Can I call it person? Will that work? Yeah, of course it will work. It doesn't matter. I can type Brexit here. Yeah, that's fine. That will be the first object in the array. So will that work? Yes, that still works. But let's keep improving it. What if I don't want to write the word name? How can I destructure? I don't want to type the word person at all. That's correct, Lauren. Curly brace name, and then what happened here? I don't want to write the word name. Sorry, the word person at all. Yeah, and then what? Family, that's correct. Well, yeah, we can. We'll go there in a minute. But before going any further, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you see? So I can get the name and the family belonging to the first element of the array. You see? So we've run two operations in one line. We have destructured the array, and then we have destructured the object. Can I rename, guys, family with Brexit? No, that's correct. When talking about array destructuring, you can rename it as you want. When talking about object destructuring, you can't, because that has to match the key in the object. If I call it Brexit, there are no keys called Brexit, so that's not gonna work. And now, Max was suggesting that we can destructure that even further, and I agree on that. What if I don't want to type the word family at all on line number 2? What do I need to do on line number 1? Wrong. Close, but wrong. What should I type here, guys? That's correct. Sailing. That's correct. You see? And that works. So you see how cool this is. Look at how simpler line number 2 got compared to the original answer. Yeah? So we are leaving all the complexity now on the structuring bit on line number 1. And that's pretty much it. That's a very powerful exercise as we're combining nested object with array destructuring. Any? Hmm? Hmm? Ah. Oh, wait. A for loop. Who did a for loop here? But the answer from who? I mean, ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. To me, using a for loop doesn't make sense, and I'll tell you why. All right, for loop. And how do you join the elements? I don't have enough information to decide how to use a for loop. So, okay, you're thinking, what happens if the array has 2 elements? And I think that makes sense, right? If I got another person, but the thing is, what do you display if you got two people? What do you do? Mike is sibling of Samantha. Peter is sibling of Lucy. But do you put a comma? Do you put and? Do you put colon, dot? I don't know. I cannot do that. Yeah, of course you can solve it. But the thing is, I will be doing over engineering. I will be delivering more content or more functionality than expected. That's why to me that doesn't make sense. If I had an example, with two people, with two family members, then great. Then of course, then you'll need to do something like that. But with one family member, it's not necessary because you'll be doing more things than expected. I mean, it's like if I do here, let A equal 3 or 2, let B equal 7, let C equals 2 or A plus B. Is that correct? Yes. I mean, that's not going to break the code, but that bit is completely unnecessary because the exercise is not asking you to do anything about these mathematical operations. Anything else? All right, cool. So what you did here. So the thing is, yeah, again, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And I can tell you so many reasons why that doesn't make sense. So look at what you are trying to do here. So you are looping, but then you give up on the first iteration. So what's the point of creating a loop if you are gonna stop it at the end of the first iteration? That's what you're doing here. Yeah, the function, how many times are we gonna stop on line number 3 if we got 10 family members? That's correct, Lauren. That's correct. It is completely irrelevant how many family members you got, because at the end of the first iteration, you are stopping the function. Yeah, that's why a loop doesn't make sense. A loop is just pointless in this particular use case scenario. Yeah, and once again, it could make sense. It could make sense if we had more information. But even if we had more information, that code won't work, because if we had to concatenate multiple family members, that's not going to work, because that will only care about the first one. Yeah? So because we don't have enough information to determine what the hell is this exercise supposed to do with multiple family members, you are making the code more complicated to actually generate the same outcome. Anything else? No? All right. Let's do the last one. That's a really good question. That's a really, really good question. I love this one. I can give you something. I can tell you something, guys, completely off topic. Many years ago, I was having a post dinner with my partner in Switzerland. Yeah, it was an anniversary, and a really good place, expensive, all these things. And I remember when we got the bill. I mean, obviously, it was an expensive place, but the bill was like 7,000 francs, 7,000 Swiss francs, with like 6,000 pounds, something like that. And yeah, that was the bill. Obviously, that wasn't expected. And and then obviously you check the details of the bill, yeah, and then you realize that they charged me a ultra expensive wine of 19th century bought French wines. uh, the thing is that thankfully that was a mistake. I didn't order that bottle, and I could prove that the bottle we had, it was a different one, still expensive, but not 4,000. So yeah, yes, yeah. Just be careful, guys. Be careful when you order wine, especially if you're in an expensive restaurant, and especially if you are in a different country. Yes, be careful with this thing. But anyway, so that's what. Oh, really? Oh, but that was. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no way. No way. No way. I always say, because I mean, I've been living in Switzerland. There are two ways to ruin your life living in Switzerland. So one of them is ordering the wrong bottle of wine, and the other one is if you got a data plan, if you got a smartphone from another country, to forget to switch your data plan off, because otherwise they'll charge you like, I don't know, 10 quid for each megabyte you download, something like that. So if you decide to watch a video, I got friends that they got bills of, I don't know, 5K per, because they've been watching YouTube for a couple of hours, things like that. So be careful, guys. Be careful with. All right, so it's a nice country apart from all these risks. Yeah, I mean, it's like if you go to yeah, exactly. It's like if you go to Australia, right? It's a nice country, but it's not risk-free, of course, because of other reasons. All right, so let's focus on the algorithm part of the problem. So find the second cheapest bottle of wine. Yeah, you got a date with a partner, and you don't want to feel you're going to get the feeling that you are looking for the cheapest thing. So you got the second cheapest thing, right? So all right, so we got an array of objects. So let's first of all deal with the function name. Function find second cheapest, and then the argument name, which is a list of wines, so for simplicity reason. So now, ignoring the details, which method are you thinking about to solve the problem? That's correct. We want to sort the list of wines by price, right? So let's try to do return wines.sort, and then we got wine A and wine B. So now, can anyone tell me what operation am I expected to write on the right hand side? Wine A, what else? Dot price, correct, because we want the price, minus wine B dot price. All right, so how is the array going to be sorted? Ascendingly or descendingly? Ascendingly. You remember the trick I told you before? Ascendingly. So the cheapest one, which is what we are looking for, will be the first one. All right, so if we want the second cheapest one, how can we do that? Correct. Square bracket 1 will give me the second cheapest one. Yeah. Actually, you notice we don't want the bottle. We don't want we just want to display a message. That's fine. We can create a variable called, I don't know, wine or selected wine. I don't know. Yeah. Choice. All right. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. And then eventually, the only thing you need to do is to format the message a bit. A bottle of. Please. Of what, guys? Like that? Well, fair enough. We can put dot name here, or if you believe that line is complex enough, how can we solve the problem without touching line number 2? That's correct, Vicky. Right on. Yeah, that's the same thing. I particularly prefer that approach because I think, guys, that line is quite complex. Yeah? If a line is complex enough, don't add more complexity to it. Try to delegate the responsibility of other operations to farther down somewhere else. Yeah. All right. So let's see if it works. You see, it works. As you can see, that's not particularly complicated. It was all about having, as usual, dealing with the sorting algorithm, getting the second element, and then displaying the name associated to that element. Any questions? No? All right, so let me quickly check your code. Yeah, you see, pretty much the same thing, breaking things into different lines, but all good apart from that. From a semantics point of view, though, I don't like that name, guys. Cheapest. That's not the cheapest. Yeah. So you can call it second cheapest if you want. Yeah, it's a bit weird, but cool. Semantics. And also, I've seen many developers doing that. I don't like the naming convention either. A and B. A and B what? Yeah. if we're talking about wines, call it wine A and wine B. Yeah, semantics are everything. And I know that you may be thinking, yeah, but that's quite simple. We don't need them. Fair enough. But it's just a matter of time that your algorithms will get more complicated. If you get the habit, if you get used to play with semantics really well from the beginning, then it will be much easier to scale your component, to scale your algorithms. All right. Anything else, guys? No. Cool. Fantastic. I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, s- then send me a message on the Slack, Vicky, and I'll have a look. Yeah, yeah. But as usual, guys, I keep in an eye to Slack, so I'll come back to you as soon as possible. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you very much, guys. See you later.